The only problem with Microsoft is they just have no taste. They have absolutely no taste, and what that means is they don't think of original ideas, and they don't bring much culture into their product.
He was adopted by a foster family, never felt like he belonged in university, and left. He was never good with rules. No one could have predicted that he would rewrite Silicon Valley and world technology from the beginning. He was just a young man, devoted to his passions, who thought differently from everyone else. He had neither the capital to start a company, nor any awareness of the pioneering future standing before him. A garage, a few ideas, and a mind that declared war against being normal. But the area where Jobs made a difference was not only technology. More importantly, he could see the things people did not yet know they wanted. He did not just design products, he created a system of desire. He made simplicity, functionality, and passion his most dangerous weapon. He rebuilt personal computers from the ground up. He changed processors and functions, showing that power was not in size. He reorganized music, built much of the technological structure we use today, and reinvented the phone. Along with these, he took the pioneering steps that would make Apple the world's most prestigious technology company. So was Steve just a technology genius, or was he a much more dangerous mind? If you are ready, we begin. Here is the global technology genius, Steve Jobs.
Steve was not born inside the world of technology. Deprived of a sense of belonging, adopted by his biological mother, he was a partially lonely outsider who felt different. Like everyone else, he started university, but early on, he realized the conventional path was not his path. He left Reed College, but this was not a complete break. By maintaining his student identity there, he continued attending classes that interested him, such as calligraphy, where he received education that would later take part in MacBook technology. He became interested in Eastern philosophy and tried to learn Zen, simplicity, design, aesthetics. Even before the idea of Apple existed, the structure of a huge company was beginning to form. There was no roadmap. As he said in his own words, he left himself to the voice of his heart and the power of fate connecting the dots. He was not interested in traditional career paths. His eyes were on different places. Simply being an expert and technical engineer was not enough for him because he was not shallow enough to only possess technical knowledge. Rather than becoming part of a system he did not want to belong to, he would move toward building his own system and create a massive ecosystem. In the beginning, he did not have a simple goal like starting a company. His goals were much bigger. He wanted to bring a new generation breath to traditional technology, strengthen it, simplify it, and humanize it. In other words, Steve's first competition was with life, and his second war, contrary to what is known, would not be with rivals, but with mediocrity.
From a magazine-like perspective, Steve seemed like a cool technology genius to many people. One group thought he was simply a marketer who had solved the secrets of communication. Others saw him as a more technical engineering genius. But the real Steve was far beyond these things, with a much deeper identity. It was not only technological genius that put Steve ahead. He was able to establish an invisible bond between technology, people, and design that no one else could see. He could approach things like an artist, and at the same time like an engineer. He had an extraordinary ability to see from afar the things people would want in the future. His obsessive understanding of simplicity, his ruthless quality standard, and his people don't know what they want until you show it to them approach. That was his real operating system. While his competitors were making computers, Steve was designing an experience. While his competitors were selling products, he was selling desire and prestige. While his competitors were producing technology, he was producing an ecosystem that would inspire all of them. Society only saw electronic devices, but Steve was actually quietly building the relationship people would have with the future, while the world's eyes were on him.
The time Steve truly entered the game was not when he founded a company. Starting Apple together with Steve Wozniak was the first major breaking point where the definition of personal computers began transforming into a culture rewritten from the ground up. Apple II was not just a successful product. It was the first time Jobs proved this. Technology, with the right marketing and packaging moves, could appeal to every audience and be sold. But the main thing that would radically change the game was Macintosh. Because Steve did not just want to sell computers here. He had bigger plans in mind. He wanted to make technology more aesthetic, more powerful, and more human. In other words, to turn technology from a job into a lifestyle. And today, we can see that he achieved this very well. Later, he began building systems. Being fired from Apple would have been an ending for most people, the end of a purpose. But Steve was not ordinary. For him, it meant a new beginning and new passions. In his own words, it opened a period where he could produce and design more intensely. With Next, he developed technological infrastructure. With Pixar, he learned storytelling, animation, and cultural impact. Apple's purchase of his company and his return transformed him into more than a founder. He was now a more knowledgeable, more precise, and more strategic architect of technology. When he returned, his first moves, contrary to expectations, were not to grow, but to begin a strategic and aesthetic simplification transformation. He focused, reduced product diversity, and repositioned the brand from the ground up. iMac, iPod, iTunes stopped being catalog products and became building blocks of a huge ecosystem. And then came the iPhone. This was not just a new and successful phone. This device was a power move that fundamentally changed communication, media, daily life, and even the entire known phone world. Steve also entered a completely new and much more visionary period in his life here. What made him so unforgettable, engraved in memory, and iconic was not that he founded Apple. What separated him from entrepreneurs who built tens of billions of dollars in companies was that he reshaped a constantly evolving industry that would become our future. In short, he became the person who decided what the future would look like.
So far, we have talked about the positive contributions of Steve's character, but the betrayal life brings would strike Steve too. The qualities that carried him to the top also created his greatest blind spots. His obsessive, controlling, ruthless, and sharp standards, along with his blind trust in his vision, made him an extraordinary pioneer. But at the same time, they strained the relationships around him, ended some, and brought others to the point of ending. Being fired from his company was not just leaving a job, it was the first major conflict between his ego and the system. He would once again continue doing things his own way. In later years, he created a similar blind spot regarding his health. After the diagnosis of his illness, delaying medical intervention during a critical period became one of the heaviest prices of his obsession with control. The traits that carry people to the top can create heavy costs when their limits are exceeded and they are blended with ego. Steve drew power from his vision, and with his obsession, he was also carried to the top. But his blind spot was trying to make this happen at all times and under all conditions. Unfortunately, in history and in life, it was never possible to always be right, and it will be the same in the future.
In 2011, Steve Jobs lost his life. But his story did not end like an ending, because Steve was not just a CEO and founder, he was the technology architect of the modern age. His physical journey may have ended, but the system he built exists in the lives of billions today. Apple continues to be one of the world's most valuable companies after him, because Steve's legacy was not just made of products. He left humanity an entire way of thinking, vision, and brand. From the first examples of personal computers to today's most prestigious phone, the iPhone. From an animation giant like Pixar to the digital music ecosystem. During his short life, Steve permanently changed the fate of multiple major industries. Some build companies, some design products, and some become rich. But very few people can shape humanity's future experiences from the past. Today, Steve's only legacy to us is not Apple products, but the very perspective of how we view technology. Lasting success requires more than technical skill and expertise.
Steve's real advantage was his ability to combine technology, design, humanity, and aesthetics within the same ecosystem. While many simply tried to make and sell products, he built an experience model and deep desire. Obsession, high ideals, and passion create major differences. But at the same time, when these powers go out of control, they can risk everything and carry a person to irreversible points. Steve's story shows us that the traits that carry a person to the top can also create destructive outcomes when they are not balanced. Focus comes before growth. When Steve returned to Apple, he did not overdose, did not grow everything. He simplified first, created space, and focused on the infrastructure of pioneering products. Even today, what most people think they lack is not doing more things, but being able to remove the things outside the right ones. Because true power is not built through excess, but through clarity. Thank you, Steve, for showing that technology could be not just a product, but art, vision, and a way of thinking. You did not just build devices, you changed millions of people's perspective on what is possible. Rest in peace.